From my heart to yours, welcome. Welcome to you and yours to this session, Staying Focused Under Pressure. Or should I say, how do we stay focused when we're feeling paralyzed and we cannot move forward? I'm glad you're here. So, before we begin about this series, I'm going to use the word parent in here, obviously. No, I am not just referring to biological parents. Parent in this context is any adult who is caring for, supporting the growth of kids, adolescents, young adults. Thank you for being there and helping support one of the more vulnerable parts of our society as we process and make sense of this time. So, what we're doing now is we're going to look at 7 ways that we can take, 7 paths that we can take to remain focused when we feel like we're under immense pressure. That that if you watch the other session on home and home away from home, what's one way that I can take to feel like I'm back home again, to get back into myself, to get being productive, to get being able to follow through with the things that I say I'm going to do. I give you 7 because we're all different and we all respond to different interventions in different ways. So I want to make sure that we have several to choose from so that as you're listening, watching this, you can begin to apply in your mind, which one do I think would work best for me? And then you can try that one. And then, but knowing that your children, your spouse, your partner, your parents are different than you and may respond to something else. So you can make that suggestion. And why? Because working and living under pressure is never easy, right? We've lived our lives. We know this. This year and a half has just exacerbated everything. So we've really, some folks who are pretty resilient needed to do their work to figure out, how do I stay focused when I'm feeling like I can barely move or I can barely breathe? And when we master this art of staying focused, it helps us get through other difficult situations, right? Whenever we say we've arrived in the future after everything we've been going through, it doesn't mean that there won't be any more stress or pressure. No, it certainly won't be like what we've just been through or are currently going through. But think of all the transitions that your children will do, right? So we all have different ages, but going from grammar school to middle school is a transition that can sometimes feel overwhelming. High school to, or middle school to high school to college or career or a job, different relationships, right? There are so many different events that your children will go through that will cause a lot of stress. So we're lucky that we're learning now how to do this. So you not only get to do this for yourself, but you'll get to model and teach your children so that they will know what to do when they feel like they don't know what to do. So how just as I, watch or listen to this episode with that application part of your brain turned on, where's the best place for you to start? Where's the best place for your kids to start? And then in a link in the description under this video, there's a link to a text set, which is simply a list of curated resources that whatever path you choose, there will be resources in the text set to support your journey on that path. So let's begin. So 7 paths to focus. The grand dame of them all is focus on one thing at a time, right? So much easier said than done, but I'm just going to give you the research on why multitasking causes us more stress. And then importantly, a way that you can teach yourself to focus on one thing at a time. And then to take breaks, because like Abraham Lincoln said, if he had 8 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend 6 hours sharpening his axe. We do have limits to our current cognitive abilities, and in order not to be working and not accomplishing anything because our brain shut down, right? That we take breaks, that we get exercise, that we accept that mistakes are a part of life. In fact, we embrace mistakes because they help us grow. So we, stop that self degradation after we make a mistake, that we work hard to improve, right? That we don't just rely on our mistakes to teach us, that we do work hard to improve. We ask for support when we need it, and that we enjoy the process, not just getting to the goal, but we enjoy the process. And if you listen to the session on neurotransmitters, you know that's all about dopamine and making sure we're getting our dope along the line, not just at the goal. So we'll start with focus, yes, multitasking, no. So if you just look at that little graph that we know from research, from functional MRIs, that when you are doing one task, all the systems of your brain, all the different parts of your brain are integrated and they're focused. So your brain is happy. When your brain is multitasking, your brain doesn't work in concert with all the different lobes, all the different locations really well. So you wind up actually tapping less of your potentials, right? And we know that multitasking is one of the leading causes of stress. So there's all the external stress, but then we create our own as well internally. So a suggestion is a focused schedule, right? Because it yields more dopamine. And that also talks about being content in the process, not just at the end. And one of the things I will share with you is called a time block schedule. So there's resources in our tech set on this. If you don't like them and you just Google time block schedules, there you will be overwhelmed with how many are out there, but it's nice to have choice. Some people really like a lot of choice. And an app that is free is called ClickUp, and that's a way that you can create this digitally. I will tell you, out of the 7 paths, I am basically a multitasker, basically a fly by the seat of my pants person, basically not typically detail oriented. All right, so that's me. The events of the past year, certainly not just the pandemic. For me, the political was more disturbing than the pandemic. And I work for myself, so I have to be very, very disciplined. And my discipline did not go away during that time. But what did was my ability to produce. So I would sit in my office, I would sit at my desk, I'm a very good soldier, and not be able to put 2 thoughts together. This time block schedule, the antithesis of my personality, is exactly what got me back. I downloaded, created a sheet, much like the one that's in front of you, and I blocked out my time. I'm going to do email here, and I'm going to do email there. I'm not going to respond every time an email comes. I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do that there. And simply by creating it, I could feel a bit of relief start setting in. And then when I began following it, it got me to a place where I could be productive again. And now I've jettisoned it. I'm not using it any longer because it got me where I needed to be. So for some people, this is a real powerful tool that you can use. Okay, no surprise here. We hear this all the time. Physical activity, right? Physical activity is not just about maintaining a healthy weight. Physical activity is not just about keeping your flexibility. Physical activity, it works on the whole system. It works mentally, it works for you emotionally, and obviously physical. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to join a gym. You don't have to even do asanas like our girl behind me is doing. One of the activities that is in the text set is called an awe walk. And it's simply a family activity that you can do, get you and your family out and moving. But the tasks that you're going to do during the walk are also eliciting, it's raising your oxytocin level, which if you watch the neurotransmitter session, I took a deep dive into neurotransmitters and how to elicit them, why we need to elicit them. Excuse me. So it can be as simple as taking a walk. And that may be what pops you back to feeling like, okay, I've got this. It sucks, but we're going to get through it. All right. And then self-forgiveness, especially there's a lot of young kids that are really hard on themselves when they make a mistake. You know, I'm thinking of our little perfectionists out there that it's got to be perfect, and they don't like you to see their mistakes. That mistakes are necessary for growth, right? So when we're talking to our kids, instead of saying something like, oh, you know, you got such a good grade on the paper, that's wonderful, or oh, you're really good at that, look at that grade you got. The language should be something more like, wow, look at the grade you just got on that paper. That lets me know how much work you put into it, right? That lets me know that you began a task, stayed on task, finished a task, right? You can give them feedback on the process, not on the product. And that so they get more comfortable in process than just trying to whip out a perfect product, right? And the more that you and your children can understand that we learn best from our mistakes, as long as we don't keep repeating them. And in your text set, there is an exercise. If I'm describing one of your kids who, you know, very, very self-critical, be the boss, toss it out, is a great activity in the text set that can get them on their way to beating themselves up a little less. And then work hard to improve, right? So we can learn from our mistakes, but we can learn other ways. And when we talk about working hard to improve, what we want to do is we want to figure out what strengths do we have, right? For so long, our society talks about deficits. And whether we're in school, whether we're in the workplace, it's okay, he or she doesn't do this well. He or she needs to improve here. He or she hasn't hit this mark yet. That's all true, but it doesn't give us any information about how to get there. So what we want to do is we want to determine, what are your strengths? What are your children's strengths? And how can we use what we're already good at to try to mitigate or get around where our limitations are? So in your text set, there's a document and a website about how do we identify our strengths, and then once we know them, we can continue to grow them and then use them to achieve those things that we want to achieve, right? Whether it's academically, whether it's on the sports field, whether it's on the stage, whether it's creating code, whatever it is that I want to create or achieve, if I identify my strengths and then use them to get over the wobbly wiggles, that will go a long way into relieving my stress. And then ask for support, right? Unfortunately, or fortunately now, but unfortunately in this society, for too long, we thought mental health, we didn't want to talk about it, right? Oh, you'll be fine. Just suck it up. It's all in your head, right? All those dismissive comments that we either were told or said to others when they were bleeding, we just couldn't see the wound, right? When it's mental and emotional. So it's not, and there's some cultures even more macho than ours, that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Asking for help, asking for help is a sign of intelligence. It's a sign of self-awareness. It says, you know what? I have a lot of skills and I'm really good at a lot of things, but right now I'm struggling with this and I'm going to go get help. A quick story. I ski, downhill ski, and I was out in Big Sky, Montana by myself, skiing a mountain that I didn't know well. So, and I like to ski lots of different lifts. Well, I got on this one lift. I looked for the sign that says experts only because I don't ski above my head. And I didn't see a sign that said experts only. So I said, okay, I can do, this will be fine. I get up at the top and I realize that this is for experts only and that I'm way over my head. And if I attempt to go down, like you had to go through gates to even get to the runs that were couloirs. So I found Pro Patrol up there and I asked for help. I said, I am over my head. I don't ski over my head. I didn't see a sign. Can I get back on the lift to go, help me back on the lift so I can take the lift down? And he said, no, you can't do that. Lift's too old. And I said, okay, where's the best place for me to boot pack down? And he said, it's too icy. You can't do that. We're going to have to take you down. So I had two guys with chains on a sled and I was in the sled and but they got me down safely. They saved my life. This past year, there was a guy about my age who took that lift and he did not ask for help. And he tried to ski down and he lost his life. So that asking for help, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's academic, whether it's making a decision, ask for support. It's okay. In fact, it can save your life. And then enjoy the process, right? If this time didn't teach us, we have to learn from experience, right? So we are still in a very fluid time and we may have plans and then they may have to change on a dime. So rather than get all upset about things continually not going our way, how do we focus on what's going on right here, right now? If I'm breathing, there's more right with me than wrong. And it's a start where I can go to do what I need to do, to be here and say, okay, one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other. If we stay focused on achieving the goal, whatever that is, for the hour, for the day, for the week, and we keep getting interrupted, we get stressed and frazzled. But if we put a different focus on and say, okay, that just changed, interrupted. All right, I'm still moving forward. I may have a slight delay here right now. So let me pause. Let me enjoy this break. And whenever it subsides, I can keep going forward. And that I make myself those little markers along the way so that I know I am progressing. And that gives me more dopamine. as I check those off as I go. So we have all arrived at this point from different life experiences, from different geographical locations, from different beliefs and values. However, right now, we are all in the same boat. And the more that we do to help ourselves so that we can help others, the more we will float this boat in positive ways as we create the future. Thank you. I hope this has been as helpful as I intend.